And I was just going to do that Tuesday, May 30th, 2023 at 4:30 PM. Police Department, Mr. Litton, Chief Litton.
Good afternoon. Thank you guys for coming in to meet with us regarding this. So in front of you is a proposal for a new canine for the department. I know that we just had some issues with the canine that left the city. And I bring this to you because I think the program's a great program. We certainly need it in our community. But there's kind of a tight timeline on this one, which is why I wanted to bring this right away. So I'll start with last council meeting, we talked about hiring new officers. I've completed the background investigation on one. He's been offered a position and he'll be starting with us on Thursday. And that's going to be Officer Sam Pesic. And he's actually here today. Thought he would come in and be able to answer any questions if you guys have any. So Sam comes to us with about 5 years experience in law enforcement in North Dakota. He is a certified handler. So he's worked for 3 years with a dog. He knows what he's doing. So this just all happened to kind of fall into my lap as this all came to be. Late last week, I got a text message about a dog that has recently become available. And that's going to be the black dog there. This dog is currently in West Fargo. There is a trainer there that works for West Fargo Police Department, full-time, part-time. He does dog training. He does both apprehension and narcotic only. He sent this photograph out to numerous agencies across the country. I was the first one to reach out to him and ask him questions about it. And the reason I come to you is because if given the opportunity, we can steal this dog from him. The reason I say that is because on the front is the amount that he is offering the dog to us for. That includes narcotic training, article training or article searches, as well as tracking. As he explained to me, he normally charges $7,500 for the dog itself, $1,000 for each additional training on top of the narcotic. So grand total should be close to $9,500, right? Give or take. He needs to get rid of this dog because he doesn't have room. He currently has 6 dogs in his garage that he is currently training. This dog comes from an absolute great bloodline, and all of its family members have gone on to be great assets to the departments that they've been assigned to. If given the opportunity to do this, what we would do is we would get the dog, have it for a couple of months, and get it acquainted with the community, take it to stores, let people love on him. He's a single-purpose dog. He will never be a dual-purpose dog. He'll never have a bite to him. That's not what he's being trained for. The question has been raised to me multiple times when it comes to narcotic. Will he ever be trained on marijuana? Marijuana is nothing that we train on. It's all hard drugs. So this dog will never, ever have that. If for some reason this dog doesn't work out, doesn't accept the training, we have an issue with this dog, he will replace the dog for free. So we will get a brand new dog for this same amount that we're being charged here. If the handler for some reason needs additional training or the dog needs additional training, we get it for free. What's great about doing it with this company, we only have to go to West Fargo. We don't have to go out of the state. where else do I want to go with this? Okay. So as you look through this, so I'm asking today for the money to purchase the dog so I can get the dog into our custody and to ensure that we don't lose this animal. I filled out a grant submission form, which is also a part of the packet that I gave you. With this, this company, when the grant is approved, will write me a check for the amount showing on the second page. And it will come directly to the city of Stanley. So basically what I'm asking to do is allow me to purchase the dog now when the grant comes through. And you can see the email from the gentleman at the very back that says it'll take 4 to 10 weeks upon final approval, then reimburse the budget for the cost of the animal. I think this is a great opportunity. I don't want to lose it. And it just happened to fall in our lap with the hiring of Officer Pesic and this dog needing a new home.
So this dog, has it had former handlers before?
This dog?
Yes.
This dog has never had a handler.
Okay.
It is brand spanking new. It's still at the trainer's location.
Okay.
And it will be, if approved, it'll be trained to work with Officer Pesic.
If that's the case, then I'd make a motion to approve.
I have a question. What and where is the training going to take place?
It's going to take place in West Fargo
With the handler
with,
and
yes,
the dog? For how
Officer-
long?
it'll take about a week.
A week?
Yep.
Well, I get that, but this is a brand new dog.
Right. So they've already been working with the dog. So what they do is they go through the process of certifying the dog with the handler. And so he said it'll take about a week.
Okay, I have a couple of questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Is the reason for the no marijuana because of the law? If it changed, then you would have to retire the dog? Is that the reason not to train him on that?
Since the invention of medical marijuana, a lot of agencies have just gone away from it because there are aspects to allow legal possession of marijuana. So no agencies, as of pretty much when medical marijuana started, has kind of all pushed away from that.
Okay. And then next is, can more than one person be trained in the handling of the dog? Like, can it be, I know Jamerson had said previously that multiple people knew the Dusty's commands and it was something that anybody could run the dog if they wanted to. And it's nothing against you, but you're brand new to the agency. I don't think you started for another week, but
No,
I'm nervous that if we commit him to be our canine handler and he hates it here after 2 weeks and he leaves, then we just invested in another dog.
So, I'm sorry, it looked like I wanted
No,
to say
no,
something.
that's
No,
like my main
Mayor, may I
concern.
make a comment?
Yep.
So I did have a discussion with Deb. So they would also like to have a written agreement with the new canine handler in regards to canine training, compensation, care, et cetera.
Right.
So I'm guessing they'll probably have that drafted and ready for council's approval at our next regular meeting. But they did suggest that they would prefer to have a written agreement in regards to that.
Wouldn't we need that before we agreed on the dog though? Like, are we gonna purchase the dog and then him turn around and say that that's not enough compensation or?
so I won't speak for him. I'll let him talk if you guys would like to address him. But in a conversation that I've had with him, because I know that that's a concern.
Right.
I knew that from the get-go. And I brought that to him. And he has reassured me that the reason he's coming to this agency is because of what it's providing right now and who's running this agency. And as long as I'm here, he says he's not going to go anywhere. So I understand your concern. I've worked with Officer Pesic before. When I worked for the sheriff's office, he worked for an agency in the area. So I'm familiar with him, and I'll let him speak for himself, but I don't see him going anywhere. But he would probably be better to best answer the question coming from a certified trainer. But my understanding with canines is, especially with single purpose, you can retrain for a new handler. And when we were going through the issues with the prior canine, I had made phone calls, and that's the exact same thing that I was told when I was going through that it is possible, but it's not, they don't like it, but you can do it.
And I definitely see your point too, Lauren. And I guess where I'm at is, if that's how we look at it all the time, then we're not ever going to have one, because we don't have a plethora of young people wanting to be cops in Stanley. So everybody that comes here is going to be coming from a different community, and they all essentially could have that same mindset that 2 weeks I'm out of here. I think we're at a point where
Well,
we
one
just
of
have
the
to
issues,
trust that
I
they're
think
gonna
one
be
of the
here.
issues we're facing right now is, for one thing, we don't have one. This
Right.
one's available, only, there's a window. So we could lose this dog if we don't
And
act on it right now.
yes, and on top of that, I've also spoke with the sheriff's office. They don't have a canine. There's no intention of getting another canine. So the the accessibility of a canine is next to none. To give you an example, over the weekend, I'm not going to get into too much depth because it's still an open case. But there was a specific article that I was looking that was to extreme danger of the community if somebody was to get a hold of it. Okay. I called every agency in Western North Dakota to come help me, and nobody was able to help me. If we would have had this dog, Officer Pesic would have been able to go resolve the issue like that, and it wouldn't have taken up all my resources. I had to call people in to come deal with the situation. We ultimately found what we were looking for, but the use of a canine in our community would have helped us out tremendously in that event.
Right. I want to see a canine for this community just as bad as everybody else.
Right.
My main concerns are a newer officer, and I look at Jenkins back there and think, why can't you just want a dog?
And so here's my other thing. It took me a lot to put this together and come before you and ask for this, because I'm not trying to ruin what I have going right now. And I really think that if I come here and I ask for something that's going to fall through, that's going to make me look real bad. Okay.
I understand what you're saying.
And I wouldn't come to you guys and ask for a dog specifically for Officer Pesic if I didn't believe that he was going to be here for the long term, and that if he isn't what I think he is. And that's a Great Dane officer.
So correct me if I'm wrong, based on the application in this email, we're receiving more than we're putting in return as a grant for that dog and handler.
That's correct. So
And that's already approved. We're just waiting to,
they're just waiting for the final approval.
so we're just floating money.
That's the way it was explained to me, yes.
A couple months ago, I talked to one of the other officers. Well, it was Dylan. And Dylan expressed interest in also being a dog handler. So, I mean, in the event that something happened, I think we'd still have Dylan, to deal with the dog, so. I guess I see that as a backup.
You want to grow old in Stanley, right? I'll just ask you.
Yeah, I'm here for a while.
Would you guys like him to come up to the podium?
And you
He starts
live
on
here
Thursday.
too, correct?
What's that?
You live in Stanley too?
Yes, I
correct?
do.
Yeah. You've been a canine handler, you have a passion for it, it's something that you,
Yep, I've currently got a retired dual-purpose dog. from my previous agency. And I still train him now, so.
Okay.
And I do have a passion to find narcotics and work with dogs.
Can I ask what you expected for compensation at your last job when you were a canine handler?
It was just set for me, and I'm more to work with the dog. I don't really care what the compensation is. I'm more so here to work and use my dog.
I think those are my,
So it's gonna be a relative fair number. What we come up with is gonna be a relative fair number to what industry standard is what I would like to assume is where we're gonna land on that. It's not gonna be $200 a day to take care of a dog, but it's also not gonna be $150. So, I mean, we're trusting that you're gonna be here for the long haul, and I guess I'm gonna ask you that you trust us that we're gonna have a fair compensation for the maintenance and the care of that dog and the off hours. And
Yeah,
I don't, I guess I just don't see that should become a stumbling block.
Are
Can I
there,
ask a question?
sure you can.
Are both of the dogs gonna live with you, your dual purpose dog and the new dog?
yes,
Are they both males?
yes,
Are they both intact?
yes,
Does that concern you?
no.
And that was another thing that, when we talked to the trainer about these dogs, that was one thing. We explained the situation, and this is the dog that he said will get along with the entire situation. So the trainer is well aware of everything that's going on, and said that there will be no issues, no conflicts between this dog. It's very submissive, and it'll be what we need it to be. So again, comes down to that whole, if it doesn't work out, he will provide us with a new dog. So.
what if there is aggression with your current dog? Is that something that would be interested in, like neutering your dog to make them more passive or anything along those lines, since it is a retired canine dog? And this one, I just think protection of our canine, because while ours might get along with everybody, does yours get along with other animals? Is it an
My
issue?
dog, he needs to warm up to him. He gets along with my parents' dog just fine. He'll just ignore it. So as long as he has time to get to know the dog and warm up to it, he's fine with him.
Are they housed separately in separate kennels, or?
Right. And so not to step over him, but to answer your question, that was one of the things that we had talked about as well. If it becomes too much for either animal, we do have the ability to have a dog run in the garage
Okay.
that will be heated and cooled to the appropriate temperature for the animal to make sure that it's maintained appropriately, to prevent any damage to either animal.
Awesome.
Is there a reason we don't neuter?
It takes their drive away to work.
I don't know. My neighbor's got a canine and his drive is pretty good. I believe he's neutered.
His neutered and his drive did not change.
No,
Okay.
none whatsoever.
Well, I think if they're okay with being separated, then it shouldn't be much of an issue. And if we can keep them separated, I mean, I know everybody has different opinions on neutering and not neutering. So then does George's motion stand? Can I second it, or do we need a fresh motion? I'll make a fresh
No,
motion.
My motion stands.
Okay, I'll second George's motion.
Any other discussion?
Well, I guess I'd like to throw out there that if there is some conflict between the dogs, that one or both get neutered, whatever. Because you can't have that.
And I
And
honestly.
I don't see why we don't neuter him. I mean,
Right, so-
we're not buying him to breed him.
Right.
So I
and-
don't understand why he's not,
and
why
I-
he wouldn't get neutered. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. And I understand your concern, and I'll talk to this trainer about that as well. I'll ask that specific question, because I've never been asked a question like that, and I don't know that answer. So I'll do some research, and if it gets to a point where we're gonna have to do that, we're not using it as a patrol dog, so it's only gonna be looking for dope, and it's gonna do narcotics, the articles, and tracking. We're not using it to bite people, anything like that. So that may be an option if it gets to that point. It's something we'll certainly entertain.
And he is our dog, so if we as a decision, make that decision, if it does become a problem, I think we do have the right to vote on that at some point.
I guess before any problem starts, I'd said, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure the recovery time is not too long. I don't know. You could probably answer that, Shandy, about a week.
I'm
So,
guessing you're gonna know fairly quickly
Yeah.
how they get along and.
With this dog being young, I don't see you having any problem with it, with your older dog. There'll be a dominance there from the older one. But, I mean, I've had dogs before, and when there's a pup that's probably a year older, how old is this dog?
This dog is a year old.
He's basically not gonna be a problem with that other dog.
No, I don't anticipate this dog being an issue. Sounds like it's a non-bite. I
Huh?
just worry about the other dog.
It's the other one, yeah.
There's
But
definitely ways to keep them
usually if
separated.
there's a dominant one, there's no fight. I mean,
Right.
they know their place basically, and so there usually isn't a problem with it.
well, I guess I'd like that option obviously left open, that if there is a little bit of issue between the dogs, that the new one gets snip, snip.
Yeah, I don't think that won't go away. We own it. That's our call.
Well, any other discussion? So there's a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Oh, we probably better do it because there's money.
Lauren,
Aye.
Linda,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Chad.
All right.
Hearing no, only ayes, no nays. Motion carries. Anything else, chief?
Nope, I believe that's it. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate your time.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second by Linda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion carries.